Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says he's optimistic that the Democrat Kamala Harris will be easier to beat than President Joe Biden, even as some polls showed her edging ahead in the race for the November 5 presidential election. The former president made the remarks at a rally in Wilkes-Barre in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. In the 90-minute speech, Trump described Harris as a lunatic and critiqued her economic agenda.
Who would believe this? 80 days from now, we are going to defeat a communist known as Kamala Harris. She's a communist. Most radical left person ever to run for office. This is not what this country needs. We've had enough of them. We're going to win back the White House, and we're going to take back our country. But she breaks everything that she touches, but soon we're going to fix every single problem. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Crooked Joe, what happened to Biden? I was running against Biden. All of a sudden, I'm running against somebody else. It's true. You know, it's interesting. I said, who am I running against? Harris. I said, who the hell is Harris? You don't know. Who the hell is Harris? Starting the day I take the oath of office, I will rapidly drive prices down, and we will make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable again. Under Kamala Harris and Crooked Joe Biden, the American dream was dead, and it is dead. It's dead as a doornail. They'll never bring it back unless we win. If we win, we're going to have the American dream alive, all for your beautiful children, your grandchildren. We'll have the American dream. We'll be back with us. Hundreds of times. I don't want it anywhere. We will. Then a couple of months ago, when the polls are showing that she's getting clobbered, well, actually, nobody actually thought they were politically correct. They wanted to be politically correct because they wanted, you know, they had 11 different people, and they put her name in to be number 12, and they had a vote. She came in last. So she picked somebody. Think of it. How about the guy she picked? How bad is he? Right? How bad is that guy? David, where did these people come from? You know, he recently signed a bill in a state that I love, but a state that hasn't been won by a Republican because it's a corrupt state. But the people are not corrupt. The people are great. Since 1972 has it been won. Think of that. And I thought we won it twice. I said, there's no way we lose Minnesota. But he signed a bill for all young men's bathrooms and men's bathrooms have to be equipped with a tampon selling machine. And she turned down your governor. By the way, just so you understand, I know some of you probably like him. I don't think he's a good person. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good. But they turned him down because he's Jewish, okay? That's why they turned him down. Now, we can be politically correct and not say that. I could say, well, they turned him down for various reasons. No. They turned him down because he's Jewish. That's why they turned him down. And I'll tell you this, any Jewish person that votes for her or a Democrat has to go out and have their head examined. Because if you see what's happening with Israel and Jewish people right now, there has never been a more dangerous time since the Holocaust. If you happen to be Jewish in America, there's never been anything like it. I'm seeing things, I can't even believe it. And we want to bring about unity and peace and everything else. It looks like they're going to have nothing but riots out there in Chicago. It's really a sad thing, but they turned him down for that reason, and they turned him down for a couple of other reasons too, but the primary reason was that he's Jewish. And you don't think I know what goes on in their campaign? I know it well, I know it.
Meanwhile, this week, Chicago will host the Democratic National Convention, drawing an estimated 50,000 attendees. The event, taking place from Monday to Thursday at the United Center, will see Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker Pritzker extend a warm welcome to delegates and guests. The city has coordinated with police and the Secret Service to ensure robust security, including street closures around the convention center. The governor emphasized the significance of the event, highlighting Kamala Harris as the highly experienced nominee for the position.
Well, we've got 50,000 people coming in from all over the country and all over the world to see the city of Chicago, to experience the Democratic Convention. So when we bid on the convention, we knew this would be a big economic boost for the city and also a way for us to show off the beauty of Chicago, particularly the summers in Chicago, better than any other city in the country. Well, the most important thing is we are about to nominate somebody who is the most experienced person for the job, Kamala Harris, and is going to make history. The first woman president, the first African-American president, the first AAPI president. And I think someone with her perspective and life experience being in the Oval Office is going to uplift the entire country. It's honestly, I don't think we've seen anything like this in my lifetime. Maybe Barack Obama getting elected, which was an amazing thing too. And so I'm thrilled. I mean, I just 3 months ago, I think people were maybe not so excited on either side, by the way, the Republicans or the Democrats. And now I see people coming out who I don't think ever got involved in politics before. And I think, when you contrast that with what Donald Trump stands for, which is more tax cuts for the wealthiest people in the United States, nothing for the middle class or working people. And Donald Trump is a selfish narcissist and someone who is a racist and a misogynist. He cares about nobody except himself, whereas Tim Walz and Kamala Harris actually care for the American people.
Well, there you have it. Just yesterday, we were talking about former U.S. President, the Republican nominee, Donald Trump. Republican candidate, I apologize. And about how, instead of him focusing on discussing, especially he's so close to the election, instead of him focusing on his policies, he's just spent a lot of time attacking, Kamala Harris. And he did the exact same thing in Pennsylvania again, where he kind of just veered off the prepared speech for him. And he just went into so many things, calling her crazy. He attacked her laugh, called her a communist, just hurling insults at her. And when you really think about it, at this point, it looks as if he's just grasping at straws. He looks like he's desperate. He's not giving the body language of someone who is really coming in to take control. And again, we always say this, like, I am really looking forward to that particular debate, because we know that, despite him initially planning to focus on these key economic talking points, to re-energize his campaign and to just make sure that the Republicans are getting he just can't help himself. He keeps going back to that. Yes. And I did see that he has also tapped Tulsi Gabbard to help him to prepare for his debate with Kamala Harris. So you can tell that he's beginning to feel the heat. And to just quickly go over to the second story, talking about the Democratic Convention that is coming up. We do know how important it is for the Democrats. Probably one of the states that has had the most conventions. They've had mayors just from the Democrats, and the city in itself has definitely, how will I put it now, has had many presidential conventions. I think about 14 of the conventions have been Republican and 12 this year have been Democratic. And just listening to what the governor has...
Yes, continue, sorry.
No, please. I thought you wanted to say something.
Are you talking about Chicago? Or are you talking about
just like the conventions that have taken place in Chicago over a period of time, yes, and it is a stronghold, of course, for the Democrats as well. So it's very important, and definitely like a feather in our hats, thinking about her moves so far and just trying to rally, support throughout this race.
Yes, definitely. I mean, one thing that the Washington Post has come out and said that Kamala Harris now has more paths to victory than Donald Trump. He must win both the Rust Belt states. He must win all the toss-ups at this point in time, because Kamala Harris has broken down into his numbers. And the polling actually shows, even though we have to be careful with polling because polling has been very wrong in the past. Yeah. The polling shows that most of her votes are actually coming from undecided voters and young women. Frank Luntz, who's a very popular Republican pollster, said he could not actually run polls with undecided women under 25 because every single one of them have made a decision. That's a huge statement coming from somebody who's a GOP, supporter, and somebody who's a very prominent pollster for the Republicans. The Chicago DNC is reminiscent of 96, where Bill Clinton had the DNC that, produced Bill Clinton was in Chicago, but it's also reminiscent of 86, which is when Nixon became president. In both 86 and 96, you had a third-party candidate that we have now with Kennedy, and you also had riots. And in Chicago riots in 86 is something that is, I'm sure, is on the back of the mind. We've spoken on this channel about the police getting prepared for the pro-Palestinian protesters who are going to be there. It's something to be very, very conscious of because the mishandling of the DNC by the Chicago police is partly responsible for why the Democrats did lose that election to Nixon. And that's the anti-Vietnam protests. And this idea of policy, particularly international policy, impacting domestic American elections is not something that's new. And it's something that Kamala Harris and her team is definitely going to be very mindful of. They're going to be very careful about going forward. But it's definitely going to be a great time, I think, in Chicago. Yes, it's a strong, Chicago is the Obama, Chicago gave us Barack Obama, right? And we have heavy hitters lined up this week. Barack Obama is expected to speak. So is Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris rounding it up on Thursday. So the lineup is
such a super force, isn't it?
They're bringing out the big guns for Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump is posturing when he says, "Oh, who's Harris? I don't know who that is." Well, your poll numbers show you different.
She's your current Vice President Trump.
All right, ladies for Kamala, isn't it? I think that we will have a good time. From like you said yesterday, from now till the elections, in November. And I will not assess Trump by the standard that I will assess Kamala. They're two different people, and Trump is not going to change overnight because he didn't change from the Trump that we knew when he ran against Hillary Clinton, who, like Kamala, was riding higher at the polls, was more likable, had more popular votes, but still didn't win the election at the end of the day. So again, there are many things that will determine who emerges the president in November. Americans likely will decide, on their fate, but there are other issues, international politics, the economy of the country, and basically, the future of the country. Let's leave Trump for who he is. Some people have settled down to the fact that it is not, anybody can be a vessel, when it comes to certain values that some people see in either a Republican candidate or in Trump. And so when we drum the things that are not quite well together about him, I doubt if that would change the minds of those who are already supporting him or who will support him or will vote for him. But like Adesua said, the undecided, the belt that will determine the vote, we'll see how things pan out in November. But, that's American elections for you.
Yes.
The interesting other thing for me is that when we come too hard on Nigerian politicians, I'm tempted to say, look at what happens in America. And it isn't just about this election. It has always been the pattern, even right from the primaries, the type of language that they use, how vociferous, even at the primaries. We remember what Hillary Clinton called Obama, in those days. We remember what even Kamala Harris called Biden, during the primaries before she was picked as the vice president. And so we won't be surprised if big bats are flying to opposition. So when we come down too hard on Nigerian politicians, I say, go to America. They are probably worse there. My position.
I would say that America is not essentially a shining light for how everything is done properly or done well. And I also think that the language that we use, even in American politics, has shifted. The language Trump uses against Kamala Harris today is not the type of language that Mitt Romney used against Obama or McCain used against Obama. And so even if we want to say that, we do have, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. It seems that the Democratic Party has said, when they go low, we go lower. So, but I think ultimately, we'll see what's coming for the Dems.
With the language that Trump used, he won in 2016, my point.
But
so,
it doesn't validate that language. You know, you can't come out
we
and
can't
call...
validate for
you
anybody.
Can't come out
I'm saying
and
that
call...
it is
you can't
still
come
in
out
America.
and call disabled
It is
people
still
retarded.
America,
You
the
can't come
bastion
out
of
and
democracy.
call veterans shame, like that the veterans are
He denied
embarrassing.
it. I mean, we don't
but
need
we
to waste
have it
time
on
all this.
video, just like we have
But he denied
denials
it.
in
He
Nigeria.
denied it. Let's
but
move
all
on
of
at
us
this
will
one
see it
so that
with
we
our
can-
eye. It
we
doesn't
can
make
deal with
it
other
right just
stories.
because you win an election.
All right.
Well, an early Israeli airstrike in central Gaza has killed at least 15 people, including 4 children and 6 women. The attack targeted a house and a nearby warehouse where displaced individuals were sheltering, as confirmed by the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah. As the strikes persist, mediators are close to finalizing a Gaza ceasefire deal. A U.S. official indicated that negotiators are working on logistics for potential hostage releases and aid distribution. As part of the agreement, with 84% of Gaza's territory under evacuation orders, the densely populated coastal strip remains heavily restricted by Israeli forces, with the majority of its residents displaced multiple times. The situation in Gaza is absolutely a humanitarian crisis. It is abhorrent. I think it's a shame. The fact that President Joe Biden has not been able to reach a ceasefire deal, I do not think we can put on his feet right now, because we can see the language coming out of Netanyahu seems... It is highly dangerous, and for me, I think we've been speaking about this for a long time, and we started saying that by saying it was disheartening. We started by saying that what Hamas did on October 7th was absolutely horrific and it was wrong. But now we have thousands, 40,000 Palestinian men, women, and children who are dead. Just last week, we had twin babies who were 4 days old who were killed when their father was in the hospital collecting their birth certificates.
Yeah.
Killed along with their mother and their grandmother. It's absolutely horrific, the scenes that we're seeing coming out of Gaza. And it honestly does feel that the international community cannot come to agreement to hold Israeli forces responsible, but also to protect Israel's rights to exist.
Ceasefire talks, wasn't it? There was already that conversation between the Israeli Prime Minister and the current leader of Hamas, saying that there was going to be some a representative, because they already killed their leader. So at this point, how is it going to affect this conversation if we're still seeing these attacks happening? And I know that, of course, I'm just trying to make sense of it, because at what point is the line drawn to say that, okay, at this particular point, negotiators are saying that they want to express a cautious optimism about moving forwards on this agreement. Really, after the ceasefire talks in Doha, we had representatives, I think, from Qatar, even from the UK, as well as I think it was France, trying to make sure that this this fire cease talks actually happen. But then we're still seeing attacks. So it just seems as if there's a catch-22 here, where it's like we take one step forward and then we take 4 back.
I mean, the reality is what we all know. There is only one superpower when it comes to the United Nations. It is the United States of America. You may have France, you may have all the other people trying to queue behind the effort to ensure ceasefire and to make sure that there is peace, that peace returns to that region. But without America being definite, being seen to be definite, it is unlikely that Netanyahu will listen to any other voice. And we know what Israel means to the American politics, what it will mean to this election coming in November, which is why, of course, we have to make reference to the likely protest regarding Gaza in Chicago next week, because it is quite important. So for me, if we have to make an appeal, I think we've passed the stage where we have to appeal to Netanyahu. It's a warmonger. This is what he wants to do, and because he has made a kind of progress killing, that fellow, the leader of Hamas, I don't think that he will want to slow down, no matter the negotiation, except, of course, that there is a bigger bully that says this cannot continue to go on. Biden has muttered something, like that, but everybody knows that Biden's basically just saying, whatever he says. We will need to know where Kamala Harris stands, where American government stands between now and November and beyond, without that clear positioning that can either persuade or, kind of hamstrung Israel, it is unlikely that this horrible, horrific human tragedy will end anytime soon. And it's such a shame, really.
I mean, just to ask you, I wanted to ask your thoughts on this, because we do have pro-Palestinian protesters coming out in Chicago. Chicago does have one of the largest communities of Palestinian Americans in the country. However, Kamala Harris has come out and said that she's pro-ceasefire, that Hamas needs to release the hostages, that Israel needs to stop indiscriminate bombing of Gaza Strip. But at the same time also, on the other hand, we have Trump who says that they should finish the job, that Israel should finish the job. Why do you think that, how do you feel about pro-Palestinian protesters protesting Kamala, who's pro-ceasefire, versus Trump, who believes that Netanyahu should finish the job, in his own words?
Trump is not the president. Kamala Harris is the vice president and the candidate of the ruling party. What is the record of Trump when he was president at that time? I recall, of course, the peace agreement that almost nearly at that period even nominates him for Nobel Peace Prize. There was a peace, yeah.
He moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I'm just saying that this is not about whether it is Trump or Kamala. I'm saying, what is the American government doing as at today to stop, the tragedy? And I can't see, what I hear from Kamala is doublespeak. Release the hostages and then stop the thing. So therefore, if the hostages are not released, it means that the bombings won't stop. So you don't have a definite position that can stop what is going on in Gaza. That's what I say.
Position?
Sorry?
Ceasefire now is not a definite position in your opinion.
Is that an order or an advisory?
Can a vice president order?
She doesn't have a president? I thought there is a president in place in America.
But we were talking about Kamala.
No, we were talking
about vice president.
No, I was talking about American government. You are talking about Kamala.
No,
I'm talking about American president.
Okay.
American government. And I think that the position is that it hasn't been decisive. There isn't a concrete thing that can show Netanyahu that this is the position of America. And there's a government in America. It's a democratic government. Biden, Kamala Harris. Kamala is the candidate of the ruling party. And I'm saying what I'm hearing doesn't look convincing for a Netanyahu to back down.
Do you reckon that maybe the Democrats are biding their time to actually see how this elections pan out before they put their feet
While
down?
many people are still dying in
Gaza?
Gaza?
Is that new?
But something that's also very important in the structure of America is that most Americans are pro-Israel. If you poll today, most Americans are on the side of the Israelis. And we also saw how Congress responded to Netanyahu coming to give a speech. He came and addressed Congress. And Congress is very important and very powerful when it comes to international affairs in America. They cannot go into any country unless they're attacked, unless Congress gives them permission. So we have to see that most Americans are still pro-Israel. Most of the Congress is pro-Israel, and the Israel lobby and IPAC and all these other super PACs that are pro-Israel are very powerful in American politics. So if we're holding our breath for America to sort out Israel-Gaza, then we're going to have to hold it
which is the reality.
a bit longer.
So which is the reality, and it comes back to what will change the position globally. And I started, from the point that without America being decisive, you will continue to get what you are getting. Pure and simple.